Wimpy Kid, part 8. Before we start reading, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Let's get started! Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Rodric rules. Monday. I was up at Raleig's playing board games yesterday, and the craziest thing happened. When Raleigh was in the bathroom, I noticed that there was some play money sticking out of the box of one of the other games. I couldn't believe my eyes because the play money inside that game was the exact same as kind of money Mom uses for mom bucks. When I counted it up, there was something like $100,000 in cash in the box. It only took me about 2 seconds to figure out what to do next. What should we play now? Gotta go! When I got home, I ran upstairs and stuffed the money under my mattress. I tossed and turned all night trying to figure out what to do with my new mom bucks. I realized Mom would probably have some way to knowing the difference between phony mom bucks and the real thing. So this morning, I decided to try a little experiment. I asked Mom if I could cash in some mom bucks so I could buy stamps to write to my pen pal. I was really nervous when I handed Mom the money, but she took it without even blinking. I can't believe my luck. I figure I can make this $100,000 last all the way through high school, maybe even further. I might not even have to get a real job later on. The trick will be not to cash in too much at one time, or Mom will know something's up. And I have to remember to earn a few mom bucks for real here and there so she doesn't get too suspicious. I will say one thing for sure, though, and it's that I won't be using the money Mom gave me to buy stamps. I got a picture of my pen pal Mama too in the mail yesterday. And that pretty much killed any chance of me writing back to him. Super cool. My big history paper is due tomorrow. But they've been saying all week that it's gonna snow about a foot tonight. I haven't really been sweating it all that much. At around 10 p.m., I peeked out the window to see how many inches of snow were on the ground so far. But I couldn't believe my eyes when I pulled back the curtain. Man, I was counting on the school being canceled tomorrow. I turned on the news to see what happened, but the weather guy was telling a totally different story than he was 3 hours ago. We really dodged a bullet this time, Bob. You can say that again, Bara. That meant I had to get cracking on my history paper. The problem is it was too late to go to the library. And we don't have any books in our house that are about the 1900s. So I knew I had to think of something quick. Then I had a great idea. Dad has bailed Rodric out a million times on his school papers, so I figured he could tell me too. I told Dad about my situation, thinking He jumped right in and helped. But I guess Dad has learned his lesson in that department. Good luck with that. Roger must have overheard me talk to Dad, because he told me I should follow him downstairs. You know how Rodric had Mr. Huff, my history teacher in middle school? Well, it turns out Mr. Huff gave Rodric's class the exact same assignment when he was in my grade. Rodric dug out in his junk drawer and found his old paper. And then he told me he'll sell it to me for $5. I told him there was no way I'd do that. I'll admit it. It was pretty tempting. Because, number one, since all of Rodric's assignments have gone through Dad, I knew Rodric got a good grade on his paper. And number two, it was in one of those clear plastic binders that teachers go crazy for. Plus, I had a huge stash of mom bucks under my mattress upstairs, and I knew I could pay Rodric with that. But I couldn't do it. I mean, I've copied from people's papers on quizzes and stuff before. But buying a paper from someone would be taking it to a whole nother level. So I decided I was gonna just have to suck it up and do the paper myself. I started doing some research on the computer, but at about midnight, the worst possible thing happened. The power went out. That's when I knew I was in some serious trouble. I knew I'd flunk history if I didn't turn in a paper. So even though I didn't want to, I decided to take Rodric up on his offer. I scraped together $5,000 in mom bucks and went down to the basement. $500 in mom bucks and went down to the basement. But Rodric didn't let me off that easily. My fee has gone up. Rodric told me his new price was $20,000 in mom bucks. I told him I didn't have it, and so he just rolled over and went back to sleep. At that point, I was really desperate. So I went upstairs and grabbed a big handful of $1,000 bills and brought them down to Rodric's room. I gave him the money and he turned over the paper. I felt really bad about what I did, but I just tried not to think about it and went to sleep. Wednesday. On the bus ride to school, I took Rodric's paper out of my bag. But I took one look at it and knew something was seriously wrong. First of all, the poem wasn't typed out. It was in Rodric's own handwriting. That's when it hit me. Dad only started doing Rodric's paper for him once he got to high school. So that meant this paper was Rodric's own work. I started reading Rodric's paper to see if I could still use it, but apparently Rodric was even worse about doing his research than me. 100 Years Ago by Rodric Hafley. Sometimes I sit and wonder about stuff I don't know, like what the heck the earth was like 100 years ago. Did caveman ride on dinosaurs? Did flowers even grow? Well, we could guess, but that was back 100 years ago. I wish they built a time machine and they picked me to go to check out what the scene was like 100 years ago. Did giant spiders rule the earth? Were deserts filled with snow? I wonder what the story was 100 years ago. F. See me. I guess I learned my lesson about buying a paper from someone, or at least from Rodric. When third period rolled around, I didn't have anything to turn in to Miss Huff. I guess that means I'll be taking summer school for history. And my day got a whole lot worse after that. When I got home from school, Mom was waiting for me at the front door. You know that stack of bills I paid Rodric with? Well, he tried to cash them all in at once to get money for a used motorcycle. I'm sure Mom knew something was fishy, since Rodric has never earned a single mom book on his own. Rodric told Mom where he got the money, and she dug around my room until she found my stash under the mattress. Mom knew she never put $100,000 into circulation, so she confiscated all my cash, even the ones I earned for real. I guess that's the end of the Mom Box program. To be honest with you, I'm kind of relieved. Sleeping on the pile of cash every night was really stressing me out. Mom was mad that I tried to put one over on her like that. So she gave me a punishment. But I got that out of the way before dinner. Mom says we have to clean the whole garage. Shoot. Thursday. Today was Thanksgiving, and it started off like it always does, with Aunt Lorta showing up 2 hours early. Mom always makes me and Rodric entertain Aunt Lorta. That means to talk to her until the rest of the family shows up. The biggest fights me and Rodric ever had were over who has to greet her first. The rest of the family started trickling in at around 11 a.m. Dad's brother, Uncle Joe, and his kids were the last to show up at around 12:30 a.m. Uncle Joe's kids all called Dad the same thing. Hi, Uncle Frank. Mom thinks it's really cute, but Dad swears that Uncle Joe tells his kids to do it on purpose. Things are pretty tense between Dad and Uncle Joe, because Dad is still mad at Uncle Joe for something he did last Thanksgiving. Back then, Minnie had just started potty training, and he was doing pretty good. In fact, he was probably about 2 weeks from being out of diapers. But Uncle Joe said something to Manny that changed everything. Better look out for the potty monster, little fella. It was 6 months before Manny would even step foot in the bathroom again. Every time Dad changed a dirty diaper after that, I heard him cursing Uncle Joe under his breath. We had dinner around 2 p.m. and then people went into the living room to talk. I didn't feel like talking, so he went in the family room to play video games. Eventually, I guess Dad had enough of the family too, so he went downstairs to work on a Civil War battlefield. But he forgot to lock the door to the furnace room, and Uncle Joe walked in after him. Uncle Joe seemed pretty interested in what Dad was working on, so Dad told him all about it. Dad gave Uncle Joe his big speech about the 115th Regiment and the role it played at Gettysburg, and spent about a half hour describing the whole battle. But I don't think Uncle Joe was really listening to that speech. Nice toys, big brother. Thanksgiving didn't last too much longer after that. Dad went upstairs and turned up the thermostat until it got stuffy and everyone cleared out. And that's pretty much how Thanksgiving ends every year at our house. The end. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Bye!